All right, guys, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of G.A.R Capital. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day this morning to join me. It is 9:03 Eastern Standard Time. My apologies for being 3 minutes late for the Morning Note. I was looking for the little logo to put on the video, so I have to alternate between the Morning Note and the recap logo. I couldn't find it. I'm like, I kept going back and forth looking for it on my computer, and I finally found it. So I'm like, gotta make sure I have the right logo. So when you look for our previous videos, at least you can see the logo correctly, or the thumbnail, excuse me. All right, let's talk about it. Dow futures up 130 points, 35,040. NASDAQ is up 1%. How about that? We'll go over that technical pattern there. The S&P 500 up 0.50%, 4547. The Russell is up 0.42%, 2067. 10-year Treasury 1.829%. The dollar index is pretty much flat, 95.45. The VIX 2292 down 3.9%. Gold futures are up 18.45 an ounce, up slightly. Silver futures 24.39. Crude oil is down slightly, 0.14%, 85.68. It was off the 2014 highs. Euro dollar is 113.54. Dollar yen 114.04, down 27 pips. Ethereum is up about 31.88, 2.64% on the future side, 42,475 for Bitcoin futures this morning. So we're seeing a nice little bounce. I was watching this last night as well. Here is the NASDAQ futures. It's not to be confused with the NASDAQ composite, mind you. NASDAQ composite is comp, which is up here. So that's 14,340. I always look at NASDAQ futures. That's really the key because it runs 24 hours, 5 days a week. So again, I like to keep up to date with it. Let's take a look here. We haven't broken the 200-day moving average on daily candle chart. If I bring this up here, where is this? I had the 3-year chart. Oh, here it is. This is the daily on a 2-year basis. So again, we haven't broken down below the 200-day moving average since April 9th. We have gotten out of it during COVID 2020. So this is the biggest drawdown we've had in the NASDAQ. We've had corrections, but not to the point of the 200-day moving average. So if you are looking of a place to possibly buy, this may be the point. But again, we need to see if we get continuation in terms of at least the rest of the day. If the rest of the day can at least turn green, that'd be a good sign. But that 200-day, I think we may be to the point of running out of bearish steam or pressure to the downside on NASDAQ. The problem with that, to me, is that affects the S&P. So the S&P, we may have bottomed out here. I thought maybe we'd get to 4,400 because I really wanted the correction, but I think we are bottoming out here, in my opinion. Again, looking at that NASDAQ 200-day, it's almost to the penny that it just bounced off that 200-day. So I think today is a day for QQQs. I think it's a day for these names that are beaten down on the tech side, your Apples, your Microsofts. They're the ones that are going to actually source. So again, the 200-day is telling me a lot. We haven't been to that level. Remember, the 100-day was a big one for the S&P, but the 200-day on NASDAQ, that's really big. So again, that might be a place possibly start taking a look at TQQQ. Again, if you're looking for possible swing trade, you could see he's basically right at 66.23. So it's right near the 200-day. You can see right here on TQQ. This is the triple leverage QQQ ETF. I've traded this before and I've owned it for less than a year. I made like 80-something% because it's triple the return on the NASDAQ Qs. So you can see just like technical bounces as we go, and it seems that we're right there for a bounce. So, oh man, I hate to say it, but I think we hit a bottom, guys. In terms of NASDAQ, I think we did. That 200-day is pretty good. I think we're pretty much to the point that we've hit. I can't say full capitulation or full fear. I don't think that's where we are. But I think on a technical basis, I think we're in the right place that we want to be. I just put this up for a 2-year. So the 2-year gives us more of the COVID bottom, the COVID level. So you can see that 200-day on Qs has not been broken since 2020. So this may be a point to maybe buy, start nibbling a couple of stocks that you've been wanting to buy, the Apples and all that stuff like that. You can see Apple is at the 50, and that's been decent support, but the real support has been the 100. So again, it would have been nice to maybe get a little more on Apple. Let's take a look at AMD. AMD was downgraded today, but they're actually up slightly. You can see the 100-day as well. You can take a look at NVIDIA. Nvidia sliced through the 100, but it's bouncing. But again, above 261 would be nice. But again, this may be the opportunity where you're getting a nice deal short term. Do I expect more of a continuation down? Oh, man, it's tough to really see how NASDAQ can break below that 200-day because we haven't had that kind of a breakdown. And we know how big the NASDAQ is, but yet the value stocks were rotated in. That's why the S&P isn't near the 200-day either. So what's really holding up the S&P is really those value names, energy. That's been helping out the S&P while the NASDAQ kind of fell. So again, I think I would be looking at calls today for the most part. Qs would be a really good one. If you're looking at Qs calls, here's what I'm looking at. Here we go in the hourly. If you kind of hold above 370.28 or let's say 370.40, let's give it a couple of cents, right? Say if you break above that, I think the 372.50s are nice. I think the 375s for next week would probably be your best bet. And then you would probably catch it in tomorrow. But again, it's only Thursday. I know it's a short week, but I think right above that 50, you can start doing some damage on QQQ. So instead of buying stocks on dips, because really the only one that's really on a technical pattern that's worth buying is NASDAQ futures, in my opinion. But I think QQQ options are probably the best way to go. If you're an investor, I would say kind of hold pat right now. Stick to your index funds of what you're doing, because we may get a little more downside. But I think if you are a trader, I think QQQ calls are probably what you want to do. But wait for the 370.40 break of pop to go ahead and trade that. And I would go for the 375s for next week, 372.50s around that area. But I wouldn't trade it for tomorrow. Tomorrow is quad witching day. That's the options expiry. So again, just be careful. Again, there's usually some volatility. Microsoft had a nice day yesterday. They popped. We caught that in the morning. Looking at Apple as well. Apple's not doing much as of yet. So again, the NASDAQ on a technical level is bouncing on the future side. I wouldn't rush to buy anything yet, but I think QQQ calls are the big focus for me today. That's something I want to look for and see if we can break that level. Let's take a look at some pre-market movers and I'll answer your questions. Let's see here. Ford Motor Company was downgraded by Jeffries. They're down 3%. SoFi still up 4%. They had a nice day yesterday. Let's take a look at the Dow. Microsoft up 1.87% this morning. JP Morgan up 0.38%. Goldman Sachs 0.58%. Chevron sliding a little bit with oil down 0.49% for Chevron. Let's take a look at the S&P. Apple's up 0.52%. American Airlines says they're returning to profitability in March. That's awesome. AMD was downgraded to hold 1.39%. Tesla is up 1.70%. As we talked about, Microsoft 1.94%. Meta Platforms, which is Facebook, up 1.5%. Travelers had a great earnings report as well. They're the largest insurer, up 3.28%. Looking at the NASDAQ, Lucid up 3.8%. JD.com up 6.49%. The Chinese government cut rates, so Alibaba's up, Baidu's up. All of the Chinese names are up, which is nice to have. Nice to see, because I have NIO and I have Alibaba. Let me get you the headline from China. Exactly. I had a bunch of stuff to retweet. Football was up pre-market. They added FanView Live to Apple TV, multi-view streaming. Morgan Stanley sees Apple beating December quarter views, but upside largely priced in. DraftKings announces $1 million responsible gaming initiative, yada yada. Let's see. Lucid tracks hires retail investor interest stays elevated. Football, Houston Dynamo signed a deal with sports betting partnership. That's great. Let's see. Where is that China thing? They basically cut rates, which is good, and that shows more of a stimulus type of deal for China. So again, if that government is still doing some stimulus, you never know. Maybe the United States throws a little bone here and there. Again, inflation is high, but stimulus would be welcome for those who need it. So again, why not have a little more stimulus for the market? That'd be a good thing. That's why the China names are up. Let's go answer some questions. I saw your tweet about China cutting rates and boost stimulus. Should we be buying Chinese growth stocks? Again, I'm not at a point right now where I would want to buy on the upside. I wouldn't want to buy when they're up. If you start seeing a little bit more weakness and there's levels that you like, go for it, but not when they're up. Don't buy when they're up. Did you go buy anything this week? Yeah, I bought some Goldman Sachs this week, and of course I'm buying SPY-G today. I buy that weekly. And of course, my crypto buys that I do every week, so that doesn't change. Hi, man. SPY calls, thanks. I think Qs are better than SPY today, to be honest. We had SPY puts yesterday. We caught that as well. If it breaks 455.27 on SPY, maybe it may be worth a shot. But again, I think Qs are the better play. Thoughts on Apple calls for today? Apple doesn't have much on the hourly chart. Again, maybe if you get above to 169, maybe 170. But here in these levels, no, I wouldn't. What do you think about 3M? Carlos looks undervalued. Again, that's a materials. 3M, they've been doing okay. Again, when it comes to higher interest rates, materials do okay. Again, you're starting to see just a range here. All you're at is in a range. If you break above 185, that'd be great. I think 3M is a hold, absolutely, at least for the dividend. Market always acts strong, and then it turns to the end of the day. I think we'll see September lows. I think you meant October lows, but again, we'll see. I mean, it's a nice build today. I think we ended the day green today. I thought we were going to end the day yesterday green as well, but we didn't get that. But some names were opportunities to get. Gold was up yesterday, and so was Microsoft. We caught that. Again, China stimulus is a really good thing, obviously. So again, that does help. And I think really what's telling me here is this technical right here, this technical support on the NASDAQ being the 200-day. That's a big deal. And bouncing off that really says a lot. Because if it didn't, then we'd probably get down to around 14.5, which is not the worst thing in the world. But again, that would be the October lows. But the 200-day is really telling me a lot. Did you trade Microsoft off the break of 310 yesterday? Microsoft, oh God, I had the breakdown on Discord on how we broke out. I think what we were looking for yesterday, yeah, it was right around 308, and then we did the 310s, I believe, and we caught that. Something around that. I had to take a look. Let's see. Is Penn a strong buy now? Again, I'll wait to invest and when it comes down to a correction territory for the S&P, but I like Penn, and I want to keep buying it. So I own it, and I'm down on it, but I really don't mind, to be honest with you. So me putting alerts here is kind of pointless because they're going to run faster than they were the S&P. So again, if I'm looking for an S&P correction, which is right around 4,400, again, then I'll start looking at these growthy names to buy on the cheap. Let's see. I think VO is a great entry spot no matter what. Morning calls. What would be a good call TP for QQQ on calls? I think here on Qs, if you break 370, your next level of resistance is right around 374.60. So the 375 calls wouldn't be a bad idea. Resistance on BABA. Let's take a look. Resistance on BABA on the hourly is 138.70. If we bring up the daily, your next resistance point is really at 131. That's broken out, excuse me, is right at 140. That's going to be your resistance level. If that breaks 140, I'd go for the 145s or 150 calls, if that's the case. Thoughts on Lucid? There was a sell-off puts. They're up pre-market, so kind of tough to buy puts here when they're up. Taking a look at the hourly. Yeah, you could sell the rips, but you're kind of stuck in a range here, so not the best point. If you break 42.28, I'd maybe go for 44 for next week, maybe, but I don't love the setup. I saw a Bloomberg analysis chart showing hedge funds reaching $4 trillion in assets. See a ton of insider buying. I think we're close to the bottom. Yeah, I mean, I'd be disappointed if we're close to a bottom, to be honest, because I really wanted some fear and capitulation out there, kind of like 2020, like we had. We may not get that. Again, that NASDAQ off 200. Again, if we sliced below that, okay, but we'll see where we go from there. Man, it's a tough one because I want a little more weakness. We need to shake out the high-levered traders, high-levered investors. We need that fear to spread out so we can scoop up cheaper. Not all dips are created equal at the end of the day. Let's see. Good morning, calls. Levels for SPY puts and calls, please. SPY puts and calls. If you break 455.26 for calls, yeah, that'd be decent. You can go with 457s. If you break below 452, that's where it gets interesting. I'll take a look at the 450 puts. So that's really the level you're looking for. Let's see. That was another question. How do indices perform after corrections? They usually bounce. Corrections are just 10% drops, and then you get a bounce over time. That's usually the case. You want fear, you'll see it with the $1 trillion debt. We'll have to deal with that eventually. Well, the $1 trillion debt, where our debt is monetized by our own currency. So a lot of people always say about the debt, it's not like it's household debt. Again, it's kind of irrelevant, the deficit and the debt, because as long as we, in terms of the United States, have the power of the dollar, we can just print more dollars to pay off the debt. I know it sounds messed up, but that's how it works. I think people really think that the government's debt is like their household debt. It's not like Capital One or Amex credit card on your bank statement. It doesn't work like that. Debt, that's how money is created. It's a full, I can't go into full monetary policy. It's called modern money mechanics. So how it works is that money is created by debt, and debt is money. That's how it works. And the reason that is because if we just printed money that could be paid off by the money that's already included, the world would go to zero. The United States, you can't have that. Debt is really the key. And the more you understand the big game, that debt is really the key, the faster you'll understand how the world works, because that's really how it is. Debt, there's global debt everywhere. I mean, Japan is like 300% debt to GDP, and they're one of the most prosperous countries on earth. I know a lot of people think of Zimbabwe in terms of printing money, Germany, circa 1930. That's not how it's going to be. The United States, let me just say this. The US dollar, or US currency, is not backed by the full faith and credit of the United States. It's backed by the military, that you better accept our money or we'll just buy you. That's how it works in a weird way. Another question, sorry about the Cowboys. Thought this would have been a good year for them. Yeah, well, what can you do? I'm a Colombian soccer fan, so my family's from Colombia. We're used to disappointment every 4 and 2 years. Copa America and World Cup. We always fuck it up. So I'm used to my teams fucking up. What can I say? Let's see. Are you holding any war defense names in escalation? Boeing. That's what I have. I have Boeing, but I don't have any other weapons manufacturers. No. Imagine if Stark Industries was real. That'd be cool. I'd do that. Might have to carry a wheelbarrow full of cash to go to grocery shopping. Ruben, I've heard that for years. That's not how it works, my man. It really doesn't how it works. First of all, less than 2% of all money in the United States is even physical money. So I've heard that take before many times. That's not how it works. Yes, you have inflation, but actually the inflation that we have is fought by the other side, which is deflation. And deflation is really based on innovation. So if you want to know what's pretty bad is deflation too. Japan has been fighting deflation for years and for decades. The lost decade, deflation. They had too many savers, and we have too many spenders. So it's like kind of an equal thing. But yeah, it's not how it works. If you really want to read a great book about it, read the book The Deficit Myth. It's a really great book. Check it out. Check it out on Amazon. It's a good one. All right, guys, we'll go and leave it there. Have a great rest of your morning. I did have a question on Facebook, so here we go. Facebook, again, kind of in limbo. Not much there. If you break 320, 330, maybe, but other than that, I don't see anything worth a shot. Look at this cluster here. Nothing going on there. But yeah, so seems like you are with Illuminati. Me? No, man. First of all, if I was with the Illuminati, I wouldn't be doing this. I would have been set in a mansion with a Ferrari. I wouldn't be doing this stuff. I think I'd be protected by Illuminati, I think, if I pledge myself to that. So, no, it's just me talking in front of an IMAX screen to you guys. That's it. BA has been consolidating for a year now. Do you think it has upside this year? Absolutely. I think BA has upside this year. Absolutely. That's why I own it. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. Just a quick heads up. No aftermarket recap today. My apologies. I got to help my wife with some stuff for her job, for her business. So again, my apologies on that. Some paperwork stuff and some photo things that she needs. So I'll be out for the day, towards the tail end of the day. But I'll be back tomorrow for the morning note and the market recap on Friday. So we'll go ahead and leave it there. Have a great rest of your day. I will not be catching you for the aftermarket recap. My apologies. But I will see you tomorrow morning. Have a good one, guys. Cheers.